All righty, let's see. I'm a little bit early. Let's see. Where is my theme song? There it is.
Woke up this morning, coffee in hand, flipped on the screen, my favorite man, Crafty's on the TV.
No. Hold on. Okay.
Woke up this morning, coffee in hand, flipped on the screen, my favorite man, Crafty's on the TV, chipping that stone with obsidian and flint, he's in the zone. He's shaping the future with a hit and a crack, building the legends, ain't no turning back. With every sharp edge, he's teaching the way of the ancients who thrived back in the day. Crafty on the TV, talking that smack, stone carving dreams, never looking back. From Texas to Vermont, Crafty studies us, chiseling the past, building futures for us. Wielding the hammer, he's steady and strong, crafting a world where we all belong. Underneath those layers of dust and grit, finds some magic every little bit. A sculptor of stories, buried in the ground, each piece he uncovers wisdom abound. With every collision, the sparks start to fly. As the old world awakens, we question why. He's digging deeper where the shadows play, reviving old crafts that could fade away. Crafty on the TV, talking that smack, stone carving dreams, never looking back. From Texas to Vermont, Crafty studies us, chiseling the past, building futures for us. Wielding the hammer, he's steady and strong, crafting a world where we all belong. And in this life, we're all just searching for our place in the world, a way to keep working. With the flick of his wrist, he brings forth the light. In every gray morning, he makes it feel right. So gather around, let the stories unfold. Crafty's our guide through the young and the old. With the sun rising high and the day moving on, Crafty carves dreams till the light is all gone. He's shaping the future one chip at a time. With every creation, he's keeping the rhyme. From the heartland of Texas to the mountains of green, the legacy lives on through the stonework unseen. With every perspective, he's showing the way. Crafty keeps going, come whatever may. Crafty on the TV, talking that smack, stone carving dreams, never looking back. From Texas to Vermont, Crafty studies us, chiseling the past, building futures for us. Wielding the hammer, he's steady and strong, crafting a world where we all belong. So here's to the mornings with coffee in hand and Crafty on the screen, the true heart of the land. With a hit and a crack, he's paving the way through stone and through story. He inspires the day.
Okay. I got off to a clumsy start here, dropping everything. But I think I can become more coordinated as time progresses. Yeah. So we are going to go ahead and do this. I noticed that the viewership went way down, so I think the shadow band is back in effect, which is okay. It doesn't matter. I did some calculations on how much these live streams actually produce in ad revenue. I think I make about $1 for every 10,000 views, right? Now, compare that to a regular video. For 10,000 views, I make about 30 bucks on one of my regular videos. So I don't think that I don't think I don't think that's worth my while to make too many live streams. I was going to do one every day. I was going to start doing one every day. But I did the math. It's better if I just do regular videos. Yeah, and focus on that. But I'm still going to do live streams 3 times a week. Yeah. Anyways, in the beginning of the video, or in the beginning of the live stream, I showed some of my arrows. These are the only ones I've kept for myself. They're all made of reeds because no one knows exactly what kind of reeds to use. Everyone's using stupid reeds. These are thick-walled Phragmites reeds. And I keep these for demonstration so people can see exactly what the Native Americans used, right? They use thick-walled Phragmites. Thick, T-H-I-C-K, thick-walled. And you only get these at high elevations, all right? When I got these, they were, I think, 2,400 feet. I never found anything usable as far as reeds go for arrows unless it's an elevation above 2,000 feet. You know, the higher the elevation, the thicker the walls on the Phragmites. So I saved those for myself just to show people what real Phragmites is for arrows. Okay, so let's get started. I'll do some more show and tell later. I need to nap some stuff I got from people, right? I got this from Garrett. It's Hawaii picture jasper. One of the few times where I actually wrote down what it is. And I still need to nap this. This is Alabama Coastal Plains. Alabama Coastal Plains. Chert. Heat treat. 600 degrees Fahrenheit plus. I think. It's either 500 or 600. It's one of those two. Okay? I don't know for sure. A lot of my stuff is gifts. Yeah. I'm also thinking about napping this. This is Novaculite. Novaculite. I'm doing this for the new guys. So just be patient. Although the new guys only watch for like 30 seconds. Maybe I'll catch a few of these. And this is a heat treat. I don't know what state this comes from. Maybe Arkansas. I don't know. This one is also like 600 degrees Fahrenheit heat treat plus. I think I got this from Danny Collins. Anyway, I think maybe I'll start with this. I changed the lighting a little bit. Maybe the lighter stones will show up, but it probably won't. I'll just do the obsidian. I have a feeling that if I film a light-colored stone, it won't look right. Yeah. I'm going to check the chat in a minute. I will periodically check the chat so I can answer questions. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to nap today. This is the biggest piece I have in here. Well, I got a flat one too. Maybe I'll nap the flat piece. Yeah, I hardly ever nap flakes. I usually nap these bifaces and spalls, right? People want to see how to nap these flat flakes too. Yeah. But we lost half our viewers, so I guess people don't want to be educated. Yeah. All right. Let's see, which is okay. Yeah. I guess as soon as they found out that there's educational material on this channel, they leave. All right, so let's see. No, dude. No, bro, you're just talking too much. We don't like talking. We just like actions. Yeah, and make sure the actions are entertainment. I think that's what's going on. Which means if they leave, I'm happy because this channel is not an entertainment channel. All right. Let's see who's on the chat. Let's see it. I gotta find myself on the YouTubes. Okay. So let me see. Christian is first. Are you still here? Ashia is here. Hello, hello. Martin, Flakesguard, Keith, Graylin, Stidley Designs, Nathan. What's up, man? Beautiful stuff. Thank you, thank you. Keith is here. Jeremy, Ibrahim, Nathan. What's the best tip for running long flakes? Practice. Other than practice, the best tip is convexity. Make sure you have convexity. Don't run long flakes on flat surfaces because you will not be able to run long flakes on flat surfaces. But you have to be a little more specific. Are you talking about long flakes when you're starting with a rock? Are you talking about long flakes when you have a biface? Or are you talking about long flakes when you are doing the finishing, thinning, or finishing sharpening? Each one of those that I mentioned is a different process for long flakes. You might say, bro, I need to know all of them. Come on, bro. All of them. What are you talking about? And also tell me everything that I did not know to ask. Okay. I know that's what you're thinking, but I can't do it that way. You have to be a little more specific, okay? Thank you. Keith is here. The point in the orbistry book on left page is a knife on the bottom one, yeah. If you ever nap that red tile again, that would be a nice one. Yeah, I'm not going to nap the red tile, actually. So, bottom left, the bottom one. One of these. See, I had this open for a reason. I'll get to it a little bit later. It's the turkey tail, right? The turkey tails were not hafted. They were put on lanyards, but we'll talk about that later. Sotris, your hands are so fat. Well, you should have seen my earlier videos when my hands were even fatter. My hands are fat because they're close up. Yeah. Mr. Jim is here. Mock None. We new guys appreciate it. Yeah. Awesome. Good. Wonder Warrior. First time I've seen light colored obsidian. Really? You've never seen the lighter color? Dang. There's lots of obsidian types. There's even greens and rainbows and stuff. Look, there's weird colors and there's even pinks and stuff. This has got dust on it. See that? And it's translucent. I put the pig lamp now in front so I can do the translucency thing, hopefully a little bit. Okay, see that right there? That's a pig lamp that I used to have in all my videos. That's my Napadex. That's my arrowhead book. And these are my typical signs that I use on my live streams. Let's see. There's a lot of new guys. Stick around, new guys. Don't just leave because I mix it up. I talk, I chat, I nap, I show and tell. You're not going to get just one thing. Omar is from Tijuana, Mexico. Yeah. Awesome. Let's see. Sorry. Keith is here. Charles. I have always been interested in the making of primitive tools. Never tried knapping yet. I found a lot of arrowheads when I was a kid. There used to be an Indian village close to where I grew up. Awesome. Yeah. Some people grow up in Indian villages and they don't even know there's artifacts around. Let's see. T. Larson says hi. Ronald is here. Hello, hello. The Viking. Hey, nice work, mate. I can always tell the internationals when they say mate. I'm not making fun of you. I'm just saying. I like having internationals in the house. Mike Mason, Mr. Jim, did you get to slapping on your glass yet? Greetings from Belgium. Awesome. Belgium. I heard the weather was finally getting snowy in Belgium. Let's see. Oops. All right. So I just showed this for the guy who's never seen light colored obsidian. This is translucent and light colored and rainbowish. But I'm not going to sell this on an auction. I'm napping this for a friend of mine, Mr. Roberto, and he knows who he is, but you don't. Haha. It's part of one of my back orders. I'm trying to catch up, and I'm almost caught up. I'm amazed. It feels so strange to be almost caught up with back orders. I had so many. All right, so what do I do with stuff like this? Oh, this is buttery and very snap and halfish. Look how easily that snapped. I'm going to lose some off the tip because it's curved. You can't get rid of curves entirely unless you lose some length. Yeah. I tried to lose a minimum amount of length. So if you want to know how to make long flakes, if you're still there, you have to be more specific on what you're having trouble with, because obviously you're having trouble, right? And it could be that you are experiencing the lack of long flakes in every single area of flintnapping. Yeah, that's always possible, especially if you're new. Some guys don't have any trouble getting long flakes on something thin like this because they have a natural ability to figure it out. But they have trouble with long flakes in other areas or during other stages, like when it's really thick. But there's so many. I wish I could sit down and actually generate a complete list of all the factors that go into making a long flake and then give you the number of factors. There's at least 20 factors involved in generating a long flake. And those factors are different for starting with a nodule. That's a different list. Starting with a biface. That's a different list. And finishing up the point. That's a different list. So there's like different factors for each stages, but there's at least 20 basic factors in making long flakes. At least. So if you ask, give me some tips on making long flakes, I cannot compress 20 factors into a video like this. That's why I have over 2,000 videos. But I will try. I will try to give you an idea of how to make long flakes. But on some level, like I said in one of my shorts videos, if I try to explain it to you in a fast way, it will be wrong on some level. Because either I'll forget something, or I'll generalize, or I'll oversimplify. It'll be wrong on some level. Or I might do it wrong. I might not understand the physics. Also, not only will I do it wrong sometimes, but I'll do it right, but I'll get the physics wrong. I'll get the explanation wrong, but I'll do it right. This is not like other skills. Although I've been looking into how to bake my own bread just because I have ADHD, right? Bro, bread? You're talking about bread now on a napping live stream? Bruh. Yeah, because it's similar. I found out that baking your own bread is similar to flintnapping, but it's not the same. Because in baking bread, there's many different factors that go into making a nice loaf of bread. Dozens of different things that can mess you up. Same as flintnapping. However, you can teach like a little kid how to bake bread. Bake it. You just give them the recipe and tell them how to do it. And it doesn't require much skill on each step, you know? Measure, weigh, mix, let it sit or knead it, put it in the oven, wait for the timer. I mean, these are basic skills. How much practice does it take to wait for it to rise? Not much. How much practice does it take to mix it in a bowl? Nothing. How much practice does it take to open the oven, stick it in the oven, and turn the heat on to a certain temperature? There's no practice involved. That's the difference between a skill like that and napping. Napping requires practice, lots of practice, and it's like rolling the dice. You don't ever guarantee success. But if you follow the recipe and you do it long enough with enough loaves of bread, for example, you can start making nice loaves of bread in a day or so, or maybe not a day because it takes time to wait for it to rise. Let's say a week. You could be making beautiful loaves of bread in a week, and people think, oh man, I can nip. If he tells me how to make long flakes, I can be an excellent flaker in 1 week. Yeah. No, it doesn't work that way. Being a good baker is not like being a good flaker. No. It's totally different. All right, that's why people leave the chat. Yeah. I tell them that they don't like what they're hearing, so their eyes don't work. Their eyes don't work, so they change the channel. And yeah. Besides, I think that I goof around too much, and it kind of turns people off. They think I might be nuts. Maybe so. Maybe they dodge a bullet when they don't watch me. Yeah. Never know what I'm gonna say. So what am I doing now? This is a stage where it's already thin, right? This is a stage where I have to be very careful about how I prepare these edges, even though it's all random. I still have to grind everything pretty consistently, and I'm going to grind everything all at once, and then opportunistically take flakes, and then grind everything all at once, opportunistically take flakes, grind it again, and just keep repeating the process until I get down to the sharpening. But it's thin, so it can snap in half at any time, and usually it's way too thin in the middle when you start with a flake. In this case, I got lucky because it's actually thickest in the middle. But on some flakes, it's not. It'll snap right across, and people will get all upset. How do you nap flakes? Because all I got is flakes. Flakes are my whole world. I'm sitting on a big mound of flakes, and that's all I got. And that's all I'll ever have because I had no money. I'm not laughing at you. I'm thinking, yeah, that's me too. We're all in the same boat. Well, not all of us. Some of us got tons of money to spend on rocks, or we got big trucks with big trailers, and whenever we discover a spot that has rocks, we just drive down there the same day, load up, 3,000 pounds of rocks, steal it from everybody else, and then go back and dump it in our backyard and never nap it. Yeah. So there's different boats. Man, the snow is falling off the roof of my shed. If you hear a crash or a slide every now and then, it's the snow falling off the roof of my shed or sliding off. All right, so before I start napping this, let's check the chat. Yes? Yeah, let's do the inception. Jim is not going to stay? Let's see, how thick do you want a slice? Okay, I use a slice of Brazilian agate. For percussion, it depends on what you're going to do. If it's percussion like this, like with a bopper or indirect percussion, you need to start out with 3/8 to 1/2 inch slab. If it's slab, cut. Now, if you're mixing up the term slab with spall, spalls usually start at 1/2 inch thick and up. But a slab, you can go down to 3/8 of an inch if you want to be safe. And they're called percussion slabs, but the best percussion slabs are 1/2 inch thick. All right. Now, if you start with another type of slab, like this is a pressure slab for pressure flaking, but I'm going to use percussion on it. This is, I don't know. Let's see. This one is 3/8. So yeah, this is like the thinnest you can go for a percussion slab. So I feel pretty confident that I'll be able to preserve most of it. But a lot of times they're thinner than 3/8. Okay, and those are not good for percussion. It's got to start at 3/8 of an inch and up for percussion. Now, if you're pressure flaking, it can go all the way down to 1/8 of an inch, but not too long because it'll snap right away. It's a very complicated question on how thick you need a slab. It depends on your style, depends on what you want to make, what your final product is going to be, and it also depends on the material. There's a lot of different factors. Hey, Andrew. Hey, Wes, you still taking orders? No, I'm not taking orders anymore. No, sorry. I mean, Wes, yeah, Wes is a very good, I mean, not Wes. Andrew, he calls me Wes. Andrew is a very good customer, but even when Andrew asks, I have to say, no, I'm not doing it anymore. I just can't do it. Let's see. Mike Mason, I'm at work and have to drive. I'll be enjoying the BLNK radio hosted by Patrick. All right, cool. There's a lot of snow. Yeah, we got a lot of snow, but it's been gradual. So I've been keeping up with it. If I get dumped on all at once, that's when it gets pretty bad. But we have not been dumped on all at once. I think the most we've gotten at one time in the past month has been 4 inches. Mr. Jim says, okay, he didn't post a video because everything went to crap. I know the feeling. All right, so if you have questions, I'll be checking the chat every now and then. Flake Scarred. Patrick, what's your experience with petrified wood? Does it have to be treated? No, not all of it has to be treated, but you can know right away if it does need to be heat treated because it won't nap. And as long as it's not cracked, yes, heat treat it. If you have petrified wood and it's cracked, don't even bother napping it because it'll cause you misery. You'll get down to the final thinning and then you'll say, oh, it's so beautiful a material. If I can just notch it and then snap because there's a defect in the material. As an example, that's just one way it'll snap. You have to make sure that your petrified wood is solid before you even heat treat it. Don't waste your money because it does cost money to heat treat. It's going to drive up your electric bill, especially if you got a lot to heat treat. And I know people that are sitting on literally tons of petrified wood. And they think, man, if I can just heat treat this 3,000 pounds of petrified wood, I'll be in the money. Well, you're going to end up spending a ton of money heating that stuff and finding out that you wasted all your time because it's all cracked and you can't thin it down. That's my advice with petrified wood. Yes, it can be napped, but you have to be very, very careful with it. Sometimes it even has layers in it. Believe it or not, it has layers because the wood, as it petrifies, it has different consistencies within the wood itself, and different parts of it decay and become silicified at different rates. So you'll have layers in the petrified wood, yeah, and those will get all messed up, or they will mess you up during the napping. Okay? All right. But some guys will say, no, I've never experienced no petrified wood that had any issues at all. I've got 400,000 pounds of it with no issues. Okay, I'm not talking to you. You are the exception. There's nobody like that I know, but I'm not saying that there isn't. I'm talking to the majority of the people that have experience with petrified wood or that have some on their property or whatever. Most of it is crapiola pudding, as I like to say. Even though the colors may be beautiful, most of it is crapiola pudding. Yep. All right, so these are just short flakes, a series of short flakes by coincidence. I'm not trying to do a series of flakes. I'm just napping to make it more Make it more regular. Yeah. I'm trying to establish some convexity. Yes, yes. I may not talk during this, which is a relief to lots of people. For some people, whenever I talk, their eyes stop working. Yeah. I have that effect on people, apparently. Let's see. So, if you want to know what I'm doing, I'm trying to establish some convexity here so that I can run flakes into the middle. I don't try to do too much in the beginning. I don't run long flakes until I have established some good convexity. If I'm following my own rules. Sometimes I don't follow my own rules, and that's what gets me into trouble. But as long as I can live with the damage, I'm okay. But yeah, I'm trying to establish convexity, and each and every flake that I take is different. And the setups are different. The angles are different. The grinding is different. The way I hold the flaker in that position, in whatever position it ends up being, is different for each flake. And these differences are barely noticeable. So you can say, bro, it's the same every time. I'm looking at it. I don't see any difference at all. What are you talking about? I mean, I see absolutely no difference whatsoever, period. No, there is slight differences, and these slight differences make all the difference. It's like if you're baking some bread, let's just say in the make-believe world, right? That bread is as difficult as flintnapping. Let's say you're baking a loaf of bread and you put the heat up to 435 instead of 445. That 10-degree difference could mean the difference between a burnt crust and a brown crust. Whereas in regular baking, it doesn't. You see what I'm saying? Slight differences can make all the difference. Now, you might say, well, I bake bread and I think 10 degrees makes a big difference. Well, you might have me on that one because I don't know exactly. But I've been baking before when I was actually eating stuff I shouldn't have been eating. And a 10-degree difference doesn't make all that much difference. But in flintnapping, just a slight tweak, slight half a degree angle difference can make all the difference in whether you get a long flake or a short flake. Believe it or not. Okay? All right. So it is different. Even though it might not look like each flake is set up differently, it is. Trust me. Trust me, bro. And if I make a mistake, I will say it's the rock's fault, but it's not always the rock's fault. Yeah. I'll just say it is because I got to protect my reputation. Yeah. It's all kind of wonky, but it's all right. I've got to get used to, see, it's also a learning curve when trying to do longer flakes. You got to get used to the material, that particular piece where you're working on, before you can actually drive the long flakes. So I tried to drive long flakes twice, and each time it step fractured. Hey, Jesse, $5 super chat. Awesome. Gluten-free bread dough fund. Yeah. Actually, I can eat bread with gluten. It just has to be the sourdough or the fermented bread. I'm finding out that I can tolerate the fermented dough, like sourdough, pretty well. Although it's too many carbs. If I'm going to eat bread like a normal person, I've got to watch it. Like it can't have any sugar in it. And it has to be fermented, like with sourdough. And it has to be whole grain. It can't be that highly processed flour. Okay? So I'm figuring this out because, having steak and eggs or fish and chicken and all that every single day gets a little bit boring, I must admit. So I've been trying to incorporate other stuff into my diet here and there, but nothing that has oxalates. I cannot eat anything that has oxalates because I'm worried about kidney stones. My dad had kidney stones, and he said it was the worst experience that he's ever had in his entire life, and he's been through rough stuff. So I'm not going to get kidney stones if I can help it. Anyways, what does that got to do with flint napping? Well, I nap better when I talk about that stuff. Yeah. Believe it or not. See, I already got used to the material, and now I can run long flakes because I was talking about kidney stones. Yeah. See that? But each flake is different. The angles are different. The grinding on the edge is different. The opportunity is different. The force is different. Everything's different. It's not the same every time. Let's see. I can't see the chat because the camera's right up on my face. I wish I could read that close. Why is this not moving? Okay. Brandon is here. Thank you for sharing this. May you have a blessed day. Thank you. Thank you. Clint says, woohoo, I finally caught another live. Hey, everybody. Oh, yeah. I was watching Jake's live stream last night. And I noticed I didn't say hi back to some people. If I don't say hi back to you when we're on a live stream, like if it's not my live stream, like on Jake's live stream, people say hi to me when I entered the live stream. If I don't say hi to you, don't take it personally. I was thinking about that last night, and I'm saying, wait a minute, I didn't say hi to some people last night. I hope they don't think I'm being a snob or stuck up. I just don't want to chat too much. I'm watching the stream. Yeah. What is your experience with petrified wood? Okay, I answered that one. Chris says, I only made 3 from chert. Most of mine are glass. Glass is a good way to start if you're new. Ronald says, you're absolutely right. I have some of that wood. Yeah, petrified wood, I'm assuming you're talking about. Salamandra says, looks like some good dacite type stuff. I love it. Yeah, this is good. We call this dacite obsidian because it's opaque, which means you cannot see through it. There's other types of obsidian where you can see right through, almost. You know what I mean? There's a difference between these. See how you can see through this one? And it's kind of got a pink tint to it. You cannot see through this one at all. Well, nappers, we know the difference between these. These nap totally different. Yeah, even though the flakes look like they're made the same way, the angles are slightly different. The grinding is slightly different. Sometimes you need to grind a lot, sometimes not so much. They might look the same, like they're made by the same technique, but it depends on the material. Some material can be flat, can be napped flat. Some material cannot be napped flat, has to be very convex. Now, I think this one can be napped flat, even though it seems like I was doing the other way. I'm pretty sure I can nap this one when it gets flat, but this one, no. I think this one will step fracture a lot worse if it's too flat. How do you not make it flat? You have to make it more narrow. Now this one already started narrow because it started as a slab. So I'm just letting you know that there are differences. Some people think that once they get a certain technique, it translates to other materials. And if they don't have success with other materials, they say, dude, I must have gotten some kind of brain damage between my obsidian and my chert napping. I mean, maybe I don't even remember that someone hit me on the head with a brick or something because I can't understand it. Yeah. It's not you. It's because there's different techniques for different materials. You didn't get hit on the head with a brick and don't remember. Yeah. Unless maybe you did. Who knows? But I think you'd have a big bruise. Yeah. No, I got big bruises on my head anyway because my doorway is too short and I bumped my head on my doorway. Yeah. I live in like a little lodge cabin. I watched the guy make a little cabin the other day on YouTube. And those cabins always have low doors. Why is that? I would be bumping my head constantly on that. Why? Because I have autisms. I don't see stuff even if it's right in front of me. if I'm thinking about something else and it's out of the ordinary, I'll either trip on it, bump my leg on it, or hit my head on it. Yeah. Because autism. And my dad was really bad about that. He had that worse than I do. Not only would he bump his head on stuff or trip on stuff or whatever, it would never sink in that it was there. He would brush it off immediately and not even pay attention. Yeah. So he would walk around. He's a funny guy. He would walk around with these little bruises and cuts on his head. I said, Dad, what'd you do? I don't know. You got a cut on your head. Yeah, that's pretty typical. Dad, what? Yeah, he would bump himself or bruise himself, and he would just brush it off and not even pay attention. Because I guess it happened so much that he just got used to it and just ignored it whenever it happened. I don't have it that bad, and my sons don't have the autism that bad. But man, it can get bad like that. So maybe it does happen to you. Maybe you do get hit on the head and you ignore it. That would be bad. If you get into flintnapping and you have that, you gotta have some workarounds, dude. Yeah, you've got to figure out, maybe wear a helmet so you don't knock the memories out of your head. Yeah. Anyways, I am kidding, yes, but there's some truth in there. And I wear steel toe boots all the time. These are steel toes, just so you know, right? I have dropped rocks on my feet by accident, but nothing major. And I think there's been nothing major, no major accidents with me, with my feet, with napping, because I always wear steel toe. Even the sneakers I have steel toes. I don't want to chop one of my toes off by accident, because I know it will happen. If I don't have steel toes on, it will happen. But if I have the steel toes on, it probably will never happen. I'd rather have that than get into an accident. Yeah. I don't know how they did it back in the day. I bet you there was nappers walking around with only 5 toes. Yeah. Combined on both feet. But I would hate to live that way. Yes. That'd be terrible. All right. And now it's getting to be refined enough that I've got to start making these edges even smoother. Smooth edges make better contact with the tool. You can get by with just rough abrading at first, or rough grinding, but when it starts to get really, really thin, and you've got to be looking at making perfect strikes and perfect pressure flakes, it's important how you treat the edge. Luckily, I haven't snapped this yet. It's already really, really thin. And it's not because it's strong material. This is very snap and halfish. Yeah. I'm just trying to be very careful with it. And as you can see, the progress is very slow. Now, if I don't have to explain it or talk, I can go a little bit faster. But people don't like watching silent films. And when they don't like watching it, they don't learn anything. They go, dang, it's so boring without sound. I don't know, you know. I depend on a lot of my ears so I can see stuff. Yeah. They're not able to watch unless their ears are happy. So I try to make the ears happy within my capacity. It's not always possible, because yesterday I was thinking about this a lot. On my off days when I don't do any napping, I think about the videos that I watch. Why am I interested in the videos that I watch? Am I learning anything, or am I just, doom scrolling? I do a combination of doom scrolling and also watching tutorial type videos. And I look at videos that have a lot of attention, a lot of views. I say, why does that video have so many views? And I'll click on it. I think other people do that too. A lot of clicks are because people are curious why it has so many clicks. So the clicks kind of compound themselves. But anyway, I was looking at videos that have lots of clicks, and I cannot figure these out. Many of them are a mystery why people are watching them. I have no idea. And I have no idea how to make videos like that either. I was watching this video, or a series of videos, where people were doing ordinary things, right? I mean, ordinary things. But the commentator that was doing like a review of this ordinary thing, he would say, look what's happening here. Oh my goodness, I cannot. Oh, he did it. It got done. What is going on here? I mean, they dramatize these ordinary things. Now, maybe it's the drama that is interesting, but there's no way that I could make a video like that. And these things get hundreds of thousands of views. These reaction videos, I guess they call them. I don't know. I'm thinking if I could make some reaction videos that gets hundreds of thousands of views, I wouldn't have to spend all day making a video, or a couple hours making a video that gets only like 10,000 views. I could make a video that takes 20 seconds and gets 200,000 views. Wouldn't that be great? But I have no idea how to make a video like that, because how do I actually hype up something ordinary in such a way as to make it believably amazing? Because I can hype something up, yeah, but people will just say, man, you're exaggerating. That's not, noteworthy. I mean, I know I watch another guy who makes videos that are worse than that, but at least they're noteworthy. Is it the cringe that makes it more noteworthy? I don't know. Anyways, I was trying to do that yesterday. Trying to figure out, all right, what is of interest to people? And I know what's of interest to people, but there's no way I'm going to make videos like that. Yeah, there's no way. There's something in the reaction of the commentator that goes deeper than just making up stuff, than just hyping it up. It's got to be like hidden subliminal talent in the presenter. Yeah. It's just something that rubs people the correct way instead of rubbing them the wrong way. These presenters have something that rubs people the right way. I don't see anything interesting in their videos. Except for the number of views. The only interesting thing about their videos is the number of views. Otherwise, it's like, what are you doing? To me, it just looks like you're hyping up something ordinary, which is ridiculous. Anyways, I said that's enough. No more looking at that kind of video, because there's no way I'm going to ever make those. I've got to try to make the instructional videos that I do more instructional. The live videos that I do more live, I guess. That kind of thing. All right, so I got most of the lumps out. I could sharpen it now, but I still want to do a little bit more thinning just to push the envelope a little bit more, because it's a little bit bulky on this side. Just a little more thinning. Yeah. Famous last words, I know, but what I'm going to do first is do pressure around the outside to make the edge a little straighter. Once the edge is straighter, you can see your options a little bit better. Yeah. And you can see a straight edge accentuates the mistakes or the lumps on the surface. You can see them a lot more clearly. And then you can start attacking. And if you put the edge right in the center of the mass, you can hit either direction, this way or that way. You can hit in either direction if the edge is right in the center. All right. I will move the edge more toward obstacles, but to begin with, I start with exact center to see where I'm at. If the exact center doesn't look like it's going to be good for removing a flake, I will move the edge in a better position, which just means either I brush it to remove small flakes. If I brush it this way, the edge moves this way, brushing with the abrader. If I brush it that way, it shatters flakes in that direction, which moves the edge this way. I can also pressure flake it downward with pressure flakes. It moves the edge that way, etc. I can hit it with an indirect percussion tool or a bopper that way, and it moves the edge that way. Okay, you get the idea. Some of the new guys, they're not quite sure exactly. I know when I started, I would move the edge in the wrong direction. I would forget which way I'm supposed to be moving the edge, and I'd make a mistake and hit it in the wrong direction and move the edge in the wrong direction. Dang it, now I got to hit it again and make it even more narrow, and I would mess them up. Yeah. So I'm preparing this for pressure flaking by removing the delicate areas, and then I'll grind it with the file. The file will also remove delicate areas. All right, so before I do that, I want to go over this here. See, these are turkey tail, Fulton turkey tail. This is the book. Take a screenshot. Buy the 12th edition. It's the cheapest. Don't spend more than 40 bucks. These are not hafted. These are lanyard type knives. Same with corner tangs and base tangs from Texas. These are not from Texas, right? I forget where these are from. Illinois and Missouri. These two. These are attached with a lanyard. If you don't know what a lanyard is, just look it up. Okay. Same with these. Turkey tails are not hafted. They're attached with lanyards, and they're knives. Okay. They're not spear tips. See how that is? This is a perfect example of why we know that they're knives. Look how asymmetrical that is. You want to put that on the end of a spear? No. It's a knife. And this base is so weak compared to the body. That's because it's attached with a lanyard, so you won't lose it. Like you can hang it around your neck, right? Or you can have a shorter lanyard for your wrist, and you just put this in a bag or a sheath when you're not using it. But see how it's asymmetrical? And they're resharpened that way too. It's not a break by accident. This is on purpose. And there's larger ones than this. This is an actual size one, right? And they thin these down a lot, which means they needed the thinness. And when you need thinness, that means you're using it as a knife, especially for slicing meat. It's much easier to slice meat with a thin blade. And these are knives too. But these are hafted. If the neck is wide, as wide as my thumb or wider, it's a knife. So these are knives. They're not spearheads. They look like they're spearheads, dude. Bro, they're spearheads, bro, because I say so. Yeah. Well, there's no evidence that they were used for spears. Maybe for atlatl darts, but these are huge. Atlatl dart points are more in this range, so maybe once they get smaller, they can be used as atlatl dart points. But I still think these are knives because the neck is wide. Atlatl darts have foreshafts that are in this range here for width. See, the necks on these are too wide for an atlatl dart foreshaft. So probably still use as knives even when they get short. Now, you can put these on at ladle darts. I'm not saying you can't. But the chances are, these are the ones that are at ladle dart points. The ones with the narrow necks. And these are the knives. The ones with the wide necks. Okay?
You mean these are knives too? The wide necks? I don't know, dude, because they look like projectiles.
Yeah. You never heard that looks are deceiving? You got to be very careful. All right. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Because I've had questions on that. Where is the chat? Ooh, a lot of chat. Jesse says, Patrick, you been making any jerky lately? No, I don't make jerky, actually. Yeah. No, I just make stews and grill up steaks and stuff. 69 folks in here remember to double tap the screen and give him a like. Yeah, double tap the screen for the like. You don't have to find the like button. You can just double tap. It's amazing. Yeah, see, I just did it. Ha! I'm on a different phone here, right? So I can like my own video. Jesse says, I learned real fast, spall large obsidian on the ground, on sand, not up in the air where a huge piece can crack in half or fall on your leg or foot. Yes. That's smart, yeah. What else do we got? Salamander says, I would suspect small doors like that are to help keep the heat in or try. That's also one reason windows were smaller back in, yeah, on these primitive buildings or these small buildings, yeah. It is for energy or heat conservation. It's also, I think, to help in self-defense. It makes it harder for bears to get in and for people that are trying to break into your house. Back in the day, you were the law. You know, basically, if you're living out in the middle of nowhere, someone can break down your door easily if it's not well defended or well fortified. Let's see, a hobbit door would smash me in the head entering. Yes, it would. Blue gems. Oh, I was scrolling in shorts and your live popped up. Hello, hello. You were doom scrolling. Yeah, I got a lot of doom scrollers in the chat, which is fine, but they usually don't hang around. Yeah. Clint Stoner. Hey, Patrick, could you possibly give us a quick tour of any material you've got around to knap? I'm curious if you got a bunch of types of rock. Lots of one type or just whatever is gifted. I've got lots and lots of different flakes of different materials, both stuff that I've purchased and gifts. I can't give you a tour because my stuff is in 1, 2, 3, 4 different places. My shop in here only has a little bit. I've got 2 outdoor deck boxes. They're called deck boxes, DECK. Outside. And my basement is now full of rocks. But they're mostly, let's see, mostly like this, of this size, 4 inches and under. I've got various types of obsidian, except for the fancy stuff. I got every type of obsidian except rainbow, green, and the fancy stuff. But I've got, mahogany obsidian, black obsidian, clear obsidian, smoky obsidian, silver sheen, the usual stuff, the usual culprits. I got a lot of that obsidian. I got a lot of slabs of different materials that I don't even know what they are. So even if I were to show you a tour, that's another thing. If I were to give you a tour of my rocks, I would go, okay, this is flakes. I don't know what they are, okay? Next. Oh, yeah. Another bin of flakes. I don't know what they are, but they're flakes. And they're maybe it's dacite and obsidian mixed together. Maybe it's only dacite. Maybe it's obsidian. And then with the chert, I'd go, okay, this is a mixed box of high-grade raw stuff flakes. And this is like a mixed box or mixed bucket of heat treats. that are all different from each other. But I don't know. Some of this mystery church, some of it I know what it is, but I would have to go in and pick out each flake. I mean, it would be a 5-hour nightmare to give you a tour because I wouldn't, otherwise, it would be like 5 seconds. I would just go around to my different stashes and go, see, 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 and that would be the video. That didn't help at all. I know. Let's see. Flakesguard says those videos are for people who aren't equipped to think or don't want to. Yeah, I think so. The ones that are, they're there on the internet just for drama or for doom scrolling. A lot of content creators have learned to game the system. I'm amazed at how well humans are able to game the system. It's amazing. Let's see. Salamander says it's children mostly who click on those kinds of videos. They're enamored by everything. Yeah, I suppose so. Children do a lot of doom scrolling. Ronald says, how hard would that be to do with a bopper? I'm assuming you're talking about the obsidian I was working with. For me, it's extremely difficult for me to thin this down with a bopper. But I was watching Jake's video last night, Gulf Coast Knapping. He is able to thin these down with a bopper because he's got a lot of hand-eye coordination. It has to be natural talent. I've tried to do that for years with a bopper, trying to get something like this and then remove nice big flakes like he does with a bopper. I can't do it. I don't care how long I've practiced. I can make small flakes with a bopper. I cannot make long flakes with a bopper reliably. It would have to be only luck. I can get long flakes with a bopper with luck, and that's it. So maybe I get lucky with 1 out of 10 strikes. That ruins the whole project because it just keeps getting narrower and narrower and narrower when I use a bopper, if I'm depending on luck. And I end up with an almond at the end. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why I use indirect percussion. Imagine that. So with me, it depends on who you ask. How hard is it to use a bopper on obsidian? For some people, it's not hard at all. For some people, it's like the end of the world with much pain and suffering and impossible tasks ahead. Yeah. All right. I actually have a question for Patrick today. I was wondering if he's ever done falls off of an anvil stone or spalls. Spalls off of an anvil stone. I have used an anvil stone or a counter striker. Yeah. I know a lot of people are not going to know what that is. I do a lot of reading in archaeological texts. They call it counter strikers or anvils. It's something I might get into later when I start demonstrating these natural tools. Let me do that. I remember to bring my notepad. Natural tools video, right? Counter striker. I'll try to do that this Friday. Counter striker or anvil. I'll try to explain what that is. Okay, and do some spalls that way, if that's what you mean. If not, then I'll probably do this anyway, but I'll look back in the chat and see if that's what you meant. Let's see. Who died of a heart attack? Talking about ADHD and autism, yeah. I'll talk about that sometimes in my videos as you see. Clint Stoner says, my wife and I get asked what flavor of the tism we've got. Rocks? It's rocks. Picking them up, cutting them, polishing them, and knapping them. Yeah. I got the type of tism that watches people with tisms. Yeah. It's because I have 2 children. Well, I think there's some autism in all my children, slightly. I have 6 children. So there was a time where I didn't know what was going on whatsoever with my kids. And then I got into researching autism. And now I can't kick the habit. I have to research autism. If something comes up in, like if I'm on Instagram or something looking at people that I follow, sometimes something comes into my feed where there's a person talking about ADHD or autism, I have to watch it. I'm sorry. I have to watch. I got the tism where I have to watch other people that have tisms. Yeah. Anyways. Kamash, let's see. Ashley says, what are you doing with that stone? Wouldn't you like to know? I'm smacking it. Let's see. Okay. Ronald asked a question. Why is mahogany obsidian so hard to knap? It's because it snaps in half easy. It's very, very brittle. Yeah. Mahogany obsidian is one of my favorites, but it's a snap in half-ish. It's very similar to this. It's like a buttery dacite, but it's red. Mahogany obsidian is like buttery dacite obsidian, but it's just red color instead of this gray stuff. And it's very, very difficult to knap because it snaps in half very easily. Why does it snap in half? Because it's extremely brittle. Are there some obsidians that are not extremely brittle? Yes. Like this one here. This is not extremely brittle. It has flexibility compared to this stuff. Flexibility, there is, and it's just a slight difference. It's not like a major difference when you look at the properties of the materials. The modulus of elasticity on this one is not much different from the modulus of elasticity on this one, for example, or the tensile strength. They're not much difference, but that little difference makes a big difference in knapping. Yes, it does. That's one of the main rules in knapping. Very slight and sometimes imperceptible differences make all the difference when trying to flake. Okay? I should write that down and just keep it somewhere down there. Slight differences make all the difference. Slight, almost imperceptible differences sometimes makes all the difference. Clint says that infinity effect on your phone is trippy. Yeah. I should do a shorts video just on that. Maybe I'll get a lot of clicks. Like, look, it's infinity. Amazing. I had no idea. I think I'm going to faint. Dang it. I've just looked into the eye of infinity. I can't. I'm hyperventilating. I got to stop. You know, I could do a video like that, I suppose. That's what I see on the internet all the time anyway. Right? Right. So, what else we got? I'm looking over to the side. I tend to read the comments. I tend to try to read the comments through my viewfinder. I'm such a dork. Let's see. Jermaine is here. Sup? Yeah. Styly Design says, yeah, awesome. Almonds. If you don't know what the almonds are in Flintnapping, just start Flintnapping. You'll find out in the next day. Almost there. One says, shh, the algorithm is listening. Yeah, the algorithm, it doesn't have consciousness yet. When it has consciousness, then we got to watch out. They leave it all to mechanical stimulus. Now, I don't know what is generating the ability to make a more expansive viewership. I'm just going to make the videos the way I want to make them. Let's see. Let's see. Have you done any spalling on an anvil stone? Yeah. I have done it before. Yeah, but I'm going to do it again. Jesse says, okay, put it on the ground. Okay. So no more questions. Do you still knap glass? Says Ronald. Yes, I do. Actually, I've got one ready. Where is it? Oh, it's not within my reach. I have some glass set up to nap. Yeah. Let me see. Don't go away. Don't leave. I have left the chat, right? Or I've left a view. Don't leave, because I'm getting this just for you. I have some glass from Keith that I want to nap more of. I have napped some of this already on video. This is like old-timey tiles made of glass. It's opaque glass for tile work. It came from an old construction site or something, from a demolition site. I'm going to make a point for Keith from this one, but this other stuff I can nap on video. And I've got other pieces of glass, not just that fancy stuff, but I've got pieces of regular commercially available type glass and bottle bottoms, of course. What kind of commercially available pieces of glass? Like you can buy like clear tiles or smoky clear glass tiles from Home Depot for, backsplashes in kitchens and bathrooms and stuff. I have got that kind of glass. I've got stuff. You can buy glass tiles, thick glass that they use for tile work. They're highly expensive, but you can buy those. I do have some of those pieces as gifts. I've got lots of glass, yeah. Anyways, I'm going to pressure flake this. Now, let me see. I modified one of my pads because the other one got worn out. If you notice, my other one had a bunch of worn out spots, and I ended up snapping a couple of flakes that I was trying to nap into arrowheads because it wasn't domed enough. My pads have to be domed or I break them. I can't have a straight flat pad. It's got to be higher or more. Has to have more elevation in the middle so I don't snap it by bridging. I don't know if you know what I mean. All my pads have to be domed. Yeah, domed, D-O-M-E-D. Domed. Not doomed. All right. Although that does qualify. Yeah, I'm doomed. And I had to make some pads for my natural tool flaking as well. Natural tool napping when I do the pressure flaking. I use rolls of buckskin, but I also use pads when I'm napping with antler, pressure flaking with antler. This Friday coming up, right? This next live stream is Friday. I'll be doing natural tool napping. Every Friday from now on, I'm going to do natural tool napping. I might mix it up, but I'm going to be putting in some time to develop my tool set for natural tool napping. And I'll do that on Friday nights. And if I make a video with natural tool napping, I'll post it both on this channel and on my Allergic Hobbit channel. This is just a short, I think it's a 4-inch long, 1-inch diameter oak dowel with piece of copper. Yeah. And I don't harden the copper at all. Whenever I get copper for a pressure flaker, I usually get copper nails. But any kind of copper would work as long as it's cheap copper and not an expensive fancy alloy. Because if I want something harder than copper, I just use a nail. Construction nail. Box nail. Not galvanized, not fancy masonry nails, nothing like that. Just a regular box nail. Shiny bright. For my pressure flakers, if I want something that's harder than copper. I don't try to harden the copper, although there are ways to harden the copper. I never do that. I consider it a waste of time, actually. When I can use nails. Nails are made of mild steel, which is harder than copper, but it still gives a little bit, and is excellent. Yeah. And it's cheap. You can buy like 100 nails for the price of one copper nail. You can buy 100 regular nails. Or maybe not that bad, but you know, you get what I mean. Copper nails are not cheap. I think I just bought 5 for like $7. 5 nails for $7. Yeah. Where $7 gives me more than 5 nails of steel. I think it'd give me a box of 100. I don't know. I haven't bought steel nails in a long time, so I forget the prices. They don't wear down as fast as copper either. Not only are they cheap, but they don't wear down as fast.
Yeah, but Indians didn't use nails, dude.
Yeah, you would say that because you don't know about Ishi the Indian, who used nails.
Yeah, it's a bunch of BS.
No, just look up Ishi. Ishi. His name was Ishi, which means man in his language, because he didn't give up his real name. He was smart. Even before the age of surveillance, he still didn't give up his name. Yeah, that's private. Anyway, he used nails. He used steel for knapping his arrowheads. Once he got a hold of nails, he goes, heck with the antler, heck with the copper. I'm using the nails, dude. Yeah. On obsidian. Steel nails on obsidian. He would knap obsidian points. Oh, yes. And he was an Indian. Okay? Still had all of his customs. He still knew all of his culture. He just ended up in, what was it, San Francisco? Or somewhere near there? Because he was starving out in the wilderness. His entire family died or was killed. Yeah, it's difficult to live on your own, by yourself. Believe it or not. The more people there is in the world, the easier it is to live. Believe it or not. Because the sum of people is greater than the whole. The amount of productivity is greater than the sum of all of their efforts. It actually multiplies. People's efforts actually multiply more than you would estimate if you just add up the individual efforts. I forget what that phenomenon is called. But when you're talking about people and their efforts, the productivity is greater than the sum of the whole thing when you add up each individual. People are more productive working together. Yeah. Now, that's not to say that we shouldn't protect individualism. If you protect individualism, you're protecting the whole as well. Anyways, people say, I mention that because people say,
Yeah, when people lived back in the day, there was only a few people and like bunches of animals. So it was so easy to hunt and get food. Yeah.
no. It might seem that way as a thought experiment. The internet's great at thought experiments, but thought experiments are often wrong. It's easier to live when your tribe is bigger than when your tribe is very small. It's just a fact. All right? All right. I won't get into it because people, when they hear that, their eyes shut down. They can't see. They become blind and they go, I got to change the channel. I can't see what he's doing because he's talking stupid stuff. Okay. I won't talk no stupid stuff. Okay. I guess it won't be too bad if I lose those guys, but I can't lose too many people because then YouTube doesn't like me. It already doesn't like me. It's got a taste of my live streams in the vertical format, and I used to get lots of views, but now the algorithm says it doesn't like me anymore. And I don't know if I said something wrong or if I ticked off too many people or I said I don't want a lot of people in the chat. Something happened and the bubble got popped. You know, my bubble got popped. Yeah. So we're back to square one again, which is okay because I can actually talk to people that I know in the chat. And there's not that many newbie questions. Newbie questions are fine. It's just they become repetitive and it's very difficult to conduct regular interactions with the regular crowd. It's difficult to do the purposeful interaction with the long-standing subscribers and followers when there's a lot of people in the chat. I'm dealing too much with new guys. And I think YouTube picks up on that in my dialogue and it shadow bans. Not because I said something bad, but because I expressed a preference to talk with mainly subscribers and followers and contributors to the channel. I don't know. Maybe someone can figure that out. I think I mentioned I did the math last night. On these kind of live streams, if I get 10,000 views, I get $1 in ad revenue. But if I get 10,000 views in a regular video that's horizontal, I get $30. Yeah, that's not hard math to know which videos I should be focusing on. Yeah. But I do these live streams for subscribers mainly. Yeah, because we get to interact in live time or in real time. It's fun. It's actually fun. Yes, yes, yes. It's one of the rare times where it's actually fun to do napping. Yeah, but you have fun making fun of these new guys, you know. You should be more considerate, dude. You're so condescending. We can't nap like you do, so I mean, we're new. Don't be so condescending and so mean. I'm fragile. Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, I know there's lots of fragileness. Okay. So I'm almost. What time is it? Oh, I still got 45 minutes. I was going to say I'm almost done with this, and maybe it's the end of the live stream. What I'm doing is I'm trying to get the edge nice and straight so I can see where I'm at and where my opportunities are to take off some more flakes. So I'm just straightening the edge. This process is, I call it regularization, but people get mixed up when I say that. So I just say straightening the edge. But I'm making it regular, which means nice and neat. But I think you can visualize better what I'm doing if I say I'm straightening the edge. And sometimes I make mistakes. Yeah, that's a little mistake right there. So you can see that they're supposed to pop out nice and clean, but sometimes it crushes. Yeah, and some materials are more crushy than other materials. Yeah. So even though I say that's a mistake, sometimes it's very difficult to avoid that, even if you're taking all the precautions. It's just crushy material. Sometimes you can blame it on the material. Yeah. This is one of those that is kind of crushy as far as materials go. But if you grind it enough, or just right, there's a Goldilocks zone between grinding too much and grinding too little. If you get into that Goldilocks zone with each type of material, it's not that difficult to remove these flakes without crushing. Yeah, but there's a Goldilocks zone in the amount of grinding. There's also a Goldilocks zone in the shape of the tip. It can't be too pointy or too rounded. Yeah. All these little things and just imperceptible little differences can make all the difference. Like if I've got too much obsidian dust embedded in the tip there, it's not gonna nap the same as if I abrade that and clean that off. There might be little pieces of obsidian dust stuck in there that changes the way it naps. It's best to keep it always fresh as far as the surface of the flaker. And that goes for antler or copper or steel, whatever. Keeping it fresh makes a big difference because these little subtle things make a lot of difference in napping. Yeah. And down here in these areas where there's a lot of width, I can do a lot of inward pressure as long as I keep it more convex than up here. I can run longer flakes with pressure here than I can up there and be safe. If I start running long flakes across the tip, many times they'll overshoot and they'll take off some of the other side, which is terrible. So the flaking I do down here is different than the flaking I do up here. And some people don't know that. You've got to change the way you flake depending on where you're at on the edge. Oh, yes.
Oh no, another complication. Why is it so difficult? Why is it so complicated? I mean, I'm getting dizzy. Yeah.
Yes, I know. It is difficult to keep all these in your conscious mind. That's why the human brain has developed the ability to keep all that stuff in your subconscious, which develops a muscle memory so you don't have to think about it. Eventually, you don't have to think about that you're flaking differently up here than you are down here. Your mind instinctively already knows to be careful up here with shorter flakes and mostly downward pressure than you do here with longer flakes and mostly inward pressure. Your brain muscle memory knows that instinctively as long as you're paying attention and not, trying to talk on the phone at the same time you're napping or something like that, or trying to do a live stream at the same time you're napping. Yeah. I have to keep a lot of things in my mind consciously when I'm talking because it does mess up my muscle memory. So I'll make mistakes. I'll go, wait a second, I took a flake up here too long or whatever, and I messed it up or I crushed it. Dang it, because I wasn't paying attention. And paying attention usually just means not thinking too much and letting your subconscious take over. It's different from other types of paying attention. Yeah. All right, so we're going to go down to a smaller diameter copper rod. I started with 3/8 in the beginning of the video. Now I'm going down to 5/16. And the tips are slightly different. Big surface area, smaller surface area at the tip. Okay? Why does that matter? Because I'm going to be taking smaller flakes. And I don't want a big surface area to take off small flakes. I want to be focused. Yeah. Make sense? No? I don't know.
Yeah, dude, but that was a big flake.
Well, yeah, that was the large range of what this can do. Not all of them are going to be like that. Every flake is different. Every situation is different. That was kind of a thick spot, so I took a bigger flake at the upper range of this capacity. But the lower range on this is much lower than this one. Yeah, I can take off little bitty flakes with this one, but they get kind of crushy. Whereas this one, you can peel them off easier, the smaller ones, instead of crushing them. Yeah, see, these are in the longer range down here where it's thicker. But when I start getting up near the tip, you'll see that they're very tiny. Step fractured that one. Sometimes you can hear it when it makes a mistake. Like when you make a mistake with some flakes, they'll go thud or they'll crack. They'll sound a little bit weird. They'll crack in a weird way. But that comes with lots of practice. Yeah. All right. You won't notice that when you're brand new usually. So these are on the upper range of the size for the 5/16 inch flaker. And that one just barely went across halfway. I'm not trying to make the long flakes. Sometimes they're longer than I wanted. And sometimes I don't want to thin it anymore because, you know, it'll get too scooped out. See, that took a little bit more off than I wanted, but oh well. It's not perfect. It doesn't have to be. That one was good. I did want to take off that much. But you see how these break up? They don't stay together, these flakes. And that's what I call snap in half-ish. These flakes will snap in half. The whole thing is snap in half-ish. Like mahogany obsidian is like that. It's because it's very brittle. So I have to be careful about how much force I'm using on the edge. It can't pull a lot. It has to just remove the flake before it knows what's happening. It's got to be very little shock. I don't feel anything basically with obsidian when I knock a flake off. I can barely feel that when I hit it. There's hardly any shock to my fingers or to the workpiece. If you're feeling a lot of shock, I mean, I can feel it. I can feel the little tap when I tap it. If you're feeling a lot of shock when you're knapping obsidian, you're hitting too hard. Or you're hitting too slow, or both. I barely feel anything. And sometimes I can feel the flake hit my finger if I got my finger right where the flake is. But if it's just sitting there and no pressure, I don't support the flakes with pressure. It's just sitting there so I feel the flake when it hits my finger, but that's it. I'm holding it way out here. I'm not backing it in like this to my hand and then striking it. I'm way out here, so that means, and it's very little pressure, and it's not sliding around a lot. So what does that mean? That means there's not much shock, but yet I'm taking off big flakes. That's because the strikes are fast and snappy. It's fast and snappy. Yeah. So I can take off big flakes because there's lots of energy in a fast strike, but it doesn't shock the piece very much. Let's see. Salamandra says, Pat, you once said obsidian is very tappish, and I never forgot that because that's so true. Treat it tappy and it'll do better. Yeah. Yeah. It's very tappish. Like, yep. You just tap these flakes off. But you can't let up on the gas too much. Yeah, you've got to make sure you're aggressive enough. If you back off too much, you're going to end up with lots of step fractures. Because, you know, you need a continuous amount of force. And sometimes you just have to hit it harder than you want to in order to maintain that amount of force to generate a large flake. Large flakes require lots of force. You can't get around it. It's just physics. And when you've got something that really thin and you're hitting it with lots of force, you have to make sure there's no shock to the piece. The shock is what causes the breakage. You want it to fracture, but you want it to fracture only where you're hitting it. And you have to make sure that you're hitting in a convex area. If you're not able to hit into a convex area, just skip it and just live with whatever it is that looks like you need to remove it. If there's an obstacle in an area that's not convex, just leave it, because it's better to have a completed piece that's not broken than a broken piece with that nasty thing removed. Yeah. Just leave the nasty thing in the piece. You'll thank me later. You can always come back to it later too. If you don't get rid of that piece, someone might think it's beautiful. Don't ruin it, bro. Give it to me, please. Yeah, but it's got a nasty thing in the middle. I know, but just give it. You're going to throw it away? Just give it. Yeah. I want to study. I know people that want to study stuff. And sometimes they want to study stuff that has mistakes. Yeah. It's starting to I'm starting to reach my limit because it's starting to crush. That's when I know the edges are getting too thin. Yeah, the failure will teach you a lot in flint knapping. The failures teach you a lot in flint knapping. And they teach you a lot in everything too. But it's especially important in flint knapping. You have to learn the limits of the stone. And yeah, obsidian is a type of stone, I think. Yeah, it's volcanic glass, but it's still stone. I don't care. Yeah, the dust is different too. In case you don't know, if you're brand new, obsidian dust is not as hazardous as chert or flint dust. In case you're wondering about the dust hazard. Yeah, obsidian dust is not nearly as hazardous as chert or flint dust. Chert or flint dust reacts with the lungs chemically, whereas obsidian does not. Obsidian's crystalline structure is different from chert or flint. This does not react chemically with the lungs. It's inert, but the dust from the flint and chert reacts chemically with your lungs, and it can cause irritation and scar tissue, which reduces your ability to breathe, whereas obsidian dust doesn't irritate it like the same way. It doesn't create the scar tissue. It can block absorption of oxygen or whatever, but it doesn't react and cause scar tissue in the same way. It may cause scar tissue, but not in the same way. Sometimes I get a question on that, but you can look that up. If you want the scientific analysis, you can look it up. I knap a lot of obsidian in wintertime because of that reason also. Now, I messed up the edge with the percussion because it was nice and straight. And what I'll do is I'll go back and straighten it again to sharpen it. Yeah, but I'm still trying to thin it down just a little bit more until I reach the limit of my ability. I might just stop right here. I like the way it looks. If it starts getting too flat, the ability to run flakes without step fracturing gets tested to its limit. So I might not be able to keep on running flakes without step fracturing. I'm running out of convexity, in other words. Let me see. Yeah, see that? It's starting to, there's a step fracture right there, which is not too bad, but once it starts doing that, it's hard to repair it because it's already getting too flat. Ooh, that almost got it. See, I drove another flake to try to smooth that out, but it didn't work that good. Yeah, I'm going to stop. Even with that little step fracture in the middle that drives me nuts sometimes, I'm just going to stop. And if I can get it later, I will. If I can't, if I don't see an opportunity to get it from the side again later on, as time goes on, I might be able to get another opportunity as I make it more narrow. But it's better to have that little defect in it and not break than to break it. Yeah. As long as the defects are not that bad when you start to get to this stage, those will tell you to stop. Some people, they can't stop when they get those, though. That's the issue. They have to try to clear it. So you have to train your brain not to clear those. You stop when you get those. It's telling you to stop. Yeah, those step. See, that's step fracture also. I'll stop here in a minute. Dang it. All right. I say dang it because it was far away. But I got it with the big flake. I got that lump. The hardest part of the flake to predict is the ending of the flake. If you try to do damage control with the ending of the flake, you're asking for trouble. So I took some risk there on that one. I damage controlled with the ending of that big flake. That was some risk there, but it had convexity, so it looked all right. Luckily, I didn't mess it up. Sometimes I'll take these flakes with indirect percussion because they're too long for me to do a nice pressure flake. Yeah. All right. So pressure flake time. I got 25 minutes or 20 minutes left. Oh yeah. I have what we affectionately call the Napadex. All right, I've got Knappings by state. I'm going to update this week. It's January, so there's stuff coming up in February, I believe. Knappings coming up and stuff. February, March. I think there might be even been one in January somewhere. But anyway, I've got the Knappings listed for every state that they are in. Knappings are not in every state. Okay, so if you have questions on where Knappings are, you can ask me and I'll answer in the comments later, not this comment section. Or you can look back in some of my videos. I have the Knapping lists in the comment section. I have not updated the comment sections lately, though. I slack off on that. I shouldn't. Every time I upload a video, I should put in the Knapping list by state, but I sometimes I'm so much in a hurry that I don't do it. Or I get distracted. I say, I'm going to do it this time, and then something distracts me and I don't do it. But I have Knapping lists in comment sections of most of my videos. But you look at the latest videos to get the latest updates. The more recent the video, the better, in other words. All right, so I'm going to straighten the edge again. And sometimes I'll take a long flake if I need to, if I see a lump. But otherwise, the general rule is the closer I get to the tip, the more downward the pressure. Unless I see an area that needs to be thinned, then I'll force one inward, but it's kind of rare. I don't like to force anything near the tip. I should have checked the chat before I do this. Probably a question that's lingering out in the air somewhere that hasn't been answered yet. Bro, you're not answering my questions. I've been asking it over and over again, like you said, and it's not. There's no answering. Yeah. Hold on. I just wanted to do that. Okay, that's what I wanted to do, right? All right. Let me check the chat. What's the ratio on that biface, says Robert? Oh, let's see. That's a good question. Let's say it's 40 millimeters by 5 millimeter. I think it's 5. Just 8-1. It's 40. And then right where I measured the 40, is that 5? If it's 4, it's 10-1. 5 is 8-1. It's somewhere between 8-1 and 10-1 right now. Now, it could vary. It could be different up here. Let's measure it where it's 30. And let's see. What's the width right there? 4. So what is that? 7-1 up here? Because 4 times 7 is 28. That's 4 by 30. 7-1 up here. So it varies depending on where you measure it. But I haven't tapered this tip down very much yet. Well, I haven't finished it yet. I have tapered it a lot, but I can taper it and get it a little bit thinner. So the ratio differs. In the perfect world, it should be thickest right here where it would snap in the middle. So the ratio is not that good right there, but it's better near the base and near the tip in a perfect world as far as the ratio goes. All right. What is it on artifacts? Most artifacts are in the 4:1 to 5:1 range on with the thickness ratio. 6:1 and better is what we call thin. Yeah. 4:1 to 5:1 ratios are just regular. But there are still a lot of artifacts with 3:1. Yeah. What am I doing? Oh, yeah, I was looking at the chat. Damn good, says Flakesguard. Thank you, thank you. Salamander says he's reading our minds. Yeah. I wish. Jason asks, you ever make it to Coshocton, Ohio? Yeah, I was there last year. Yep. You missed it. I was there in the fall in Coshocton. I'm going to make the spring one this time, maybe. But I'm planning on going to the fall one because they say that's the one that's got most of the nappers. So I'll go to the fall one every year from now on. It's only like 10 hours or 11 hours for me. Yeah. Let's see. Flakescar says, I think it would more affect getting the shape or form you want. I don't know what that means. Is that a spear point, a ladle, or knife? This one is, it could be either a knife or an atlatl dart point. Spears come in two forms. Atlatl darts are also called spears, or thrown spears, or handheld spears. I guess there's 3 different varieties. And there's one variety that is thrown with an atlatl like this. This is an atlatl. This is mine that I usually use. It's got counterweights. Actually, this one is a good luck charm, but this is the counterweight. There are spears that are shot with that, which is called an atlatl dart. And this can be an atlatl dart point, yes. It can also be a knife. But as far as a spear, what we normally consider a spear that's about this thick around is usually not tipped with stone. Okay? If you look at the archaeological record and look at what Native Americans used for spear tips, handheld or thrusting spears back in the day, a lot of them used bone. All right? Until they got their steel spear tips. Stone is not that great for use in a handheld spear or a hand-thrown spear. Okay? Because it requires a lot of strength to be a spear tip. Now, you can make really thick stone so-called spear tips, but they're difficult to haft. Okay? It's much easier to make a bone spear tip and haft it and still be very strong. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that there wasn't. I'm saying it's best not to. And I would assume, to be safe, that a handheld or hand-thrown spear tip is not one of these in the book. These are usually knives and projectile points. The ones that are in books like this or in collections. Because that's the best use of stone. Knives and projectile points. Let's see. I wonder how concave or convex the artifacts were. Most artifacts are very convex. If a point runs out of convexity, it renders it useless. As far as use, no. It runs out of usefulness as far as wanting to get long flakes. It's useless trying to run long flakes on something that's really flat, unless you're using pressure. Okay. There's a lot of points in the archaeological record that are flat that were used. They napped them till they got flat. And even they napped them even to the point where all the flakes were starting to dive into the middle, and it creates a furrow, which means it's thinner in the middle than it is on the sides. Flutes achieve the same thing, but in a different direction. Okay? So you can have thinness, more thinness in the middle than on the sides by either fluting or furrowing. You can drive flakes that dive into the middle and then from both sides, and it creates a furrow or a depression in the middle. It's going to look all choppy and steppy, yes, but it's thinner in the middle than it is on the sides. Okay? 2 ways to do that, with furrows or with flutes. It doesn't make it useless. All right? There's a lot of, like, Harahe knives, a lot of artifacts. For example, a Harahe knife that's very flat when they finish knapping it. But they like it that way because it stays pretty much the same thickness every time they sharpen it. It doesn't get thick and bulky. Like on this one here, there's convexity everywhere, right? And as you sharpen it, the edge starts to get more and more thick. But with Harahe knives, as an example, they're very flat. Every time you resharpen it, it stays the same. So it's very predictable as far as butchering goes, as an example. So I don't know if you meant useless for use in knapping or useless in use for butchering. Let's see. Roy says, kind of like lead in your blood versus iron in your blood. I don't know what that means. Let's see. Kata says, are we going to hunt a mammoth after? Yeah, I don't think so. If you look at the size of a mammoth, this is a very controversial issue. If you look at the size of a mammoth compared to the size of a Clovis or a Paleo Point, you'd be amazed at how tiny that Clovis Point is compared to a mammoth. And they were supposed to be taking these mammoths down with these Clovis points as projectiles. Somehow I think not. But it's a controversial issue. I think the mammoths were trapped. They were not killed with these projectile points. They were trapped, and then maybe they were using thrusting spears to dispatch the animal. I'm not saying it can't be done, but the atlatl darts or thrusting spears and all that are so tiny compared to a mammoth or a mastodon that you would have to literally kill the animal with 1,000 cuts. You know, death by 1,000 cuts. Maybe that would do it. But you would need many warriors, many hunters, all shooting their projectile points at the mammoth and making it look like a pincushion. Death by 1,000 cuts. Just like when they use elephants in warfare, like Hannibal attacking the Romans with elephants. To get one of those elephants to die required you to basically turn it into a pincushion. That's why they were so effective. And this was in the times of the Romans when they had but bronze blades and bronze projectile points. Much more effective than stone. All right.
Yeah, but some of those big elephants had armor and they had like shields covering them and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, okay, fine. What about the fur? Mammoths had thick fur and long hair. You don't think that made a difference? Let's see. Ronald says, Jack, what is your success percentage with mahogany obsidian? Just wondering. I'm usually successful 3 out of 4 times. One out of 4 I'll break. It's very high failure rate for me now. After about 15 years of knapping, my usual success rate is 9 out of 10. But with mahogany obsidian, it's about half of that. Maybe I get 4 out of 5. I do snap a lot of mahogany obsidian. Let's see. Salamanders. Okay, I read that one. Hey, Gary's here. Hello, peoples. Flakesguard says that's the one bad thing about chat. Without being able to see who you're talking to, you lose ability to use eye contact. Yeah. Let's see. I think Michael's in the house, right? We have a moderator in the house. What are you holding? Secular, you're probably not in the chat anymore, but this is a plastic plastic cylinder. It's solid plastic, ultra high molecular weight plastic, UHMW. You can get these from eBay. This is 1.25 inch diameter. It's 9 inches long. It weighs 6 ounces. And you can get these on eBay. Just type in UHMW plastic rod, 1 1/4 inch diameter. And these are available in white or black. And eBay is the easiest place to find them because they're selling short lengths. You don't have to buy a big 6-foot piece. You can sometimes buy a 12-inch or 24-inch. Let's see. Nope, I haven't made any jerky lately. All right, where's Bren is here. Howdy, howdy. The live stream's going to end in a few minutes, or let's say 8 minutes. You made it just in time. Roy says, I meant iron in blood's fine like obsidian dust or for lungs, and lead is no good in blood like flint dust. So basically, certain things in our bodies can't stand silicosis from flint dust. Yes, that's true. Yeah, it's similar, yeah. Some things will react with your body more than other things chemically. Hey, Bushy's here. I'm late. I just made the Onondaga point. Cool. Did you post it in the community? Let's see. Hoosier says, got some midday slow time. I'm glad to find you here napping. I'm glad you were able to join us. I don't think Sal has been here in the live stream, or he's just lurking. Jason says, I was there too. Where was your booth? I was not in a booth. Well, I was in a booth, but I didn't have my own. I was with friends. I was with Don Tower and Scott. What's his last name? But I was with other people. I didn't have my own setup. I was where was I? I wish I could remember what was north, south, east, and west. I was not that far from the taco truck or the ice cream truck. I was on the same street with them. If I just walked down, I was on that same street with the taco truck. I think it was the same street. It wasn't too far. It might not have been a taco truck. I don't know. It was the food truck. It was the roach wagon or whatever they call them. Can you take a peek at the Pennsylvania nap-in list? Says Roy. Yeah, let's see what's in Pennsylvania for nap-ins. Let's see if we can lose all of our viewers. Yeah.
I don't want to see nap-ins, dude. I want to see the process of napping. I know you've got a lot of videos on napping, but I want to see you use the live stream for something that's not supposed to be used for. Yeah.
I'm not going to use a live stream for process. I'm going to use a live stream for interaction. Okay? Sorry. Pennsylvania. Where's in Pennsylvania? Let me see. Hold on. I hope you're still there. I think we have two. No, we got one. We've got the Bald Eagle Nap in Camp Anderson. It's June. Last year it was the 26th through 29th. Okay, you can take a screenshot or whatever. Camp Anderson, 1057. What is that? Vanscoyoc Hollow Road, Tyrone, Pennsylvania, 16686. And these are the phone numbers for contact. You text these numbers and ask for information. Okay? Last year it was June. Now, I think that's the only one in Pennsylvania that I've got. Yeah, Bald Eagle Knapping, Pennsylvania. They might have another one that I don't know about. If there's been an update out in the interwebs for another Knapping recently, they just invented one recently. I don't have it in there. I last updated my Knapping list in August, I think. Got a screenshot it. Thank you so much. Oh, you're welcome. Have you mentioned Georgia? Let me see. What's in Georgia? This is a good break. I like taking these little breaks. There are stuff in Georgia. You hit a jackpot right there. Yeah, because there's more than one. There's like 2 or 3. Okay, so we have in Georgia, Flint River Knapping, Primitive Arts Festival, Wingham Community Center, 267 East Broad Avenue, Wingham, Georgia, 398-797. The Knapping contact number 229-220-1022. Last year it was February 15th through 16th. It's probably similar. Before that, it was February 25th through 24 and 25 in 2024. All right. You can find the information on flintnappers.com or John Lane from Facebook. You can screenshot that one. That's the first one. There's another one. Real Squeal Artifact Show and Primitive Art Show. Parton Park, 168 Mayotte Street, Lyons, Georgia. And those are the contact numbers. It was October 5th in 2024. Now, I don't know if there was one in 2025. I don't have any information on that one. It may not be a Knapping anymore. Sometimes they cancel these Knappings. All right. And you can find that on Facebook or the lionsmainstreet.com. I think Lions Main Street is a site where people post their events. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Awesome. Thanks. You're welcome. Slendy says, "What is this? I'm lost. Bro, help me. I can't stand it. I need to know what it is or I'll die." Oh, well. Yeah. Hope the next life is nice for you. Let's see. Great live stream and great answers. Thanks, says Ronald. Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad you think so. That's why I think it's awesome. Bushy says, "I was working today on an obsidian and ended up with 2 halves." Yeah. Luckily, obsidian is not that expensive, so we can smash it all we want. Yes. Streamception. Yeah. When the last time you... What? I don't want to answer questions like that. Has he mentioned Georgia? Yeah, I mentioned Georgia. Ask questions before the live stream is over, dudes, because it's 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm supposed to end the live stream unless there's questions that I have not answered. Let me see here. I'm looking for questions, okay? I'm going to spend some time looking for questions. I napped this today. All right. All it needs to be is sharpened and then notched. And the hard part's done already. It winds down for me with the sharpening and the notching, even though sometimes the notching is hard to do. That's not as hard as keeping it unbroken during the final thinning. And let's see. If I were to use this one, I'd use it as a knife. I'd put it in a handle similar to this. Oh, this is a little bit big. But yeah, this is the way I make my knife handles. And I would either use glue, only glue, or I would put notches in it so I can wrap it. Okay. This is the type of handle that I make. Or it can also be a little dart point. I have various foreshafts. You know, whichever it looks good in. It might look good in that one. That's a large little dart foreshaft. Or in a smaller one. Smaller diameter. This is, it fits pretty good in this one. Yeah, nice and snug. It does not fall out. So, and I would notch it to where the base or the stem is just as wide as the wood, or just slightly wider. That way when I wrap it, it's a strong bond. So you can notch it from the side, or you can notch it from the corner or the base. On this one, it's wide enough for various options. Also, I've seen these just hafted only with glue. Now, I was going to show, I'm still going to show it, yes. There's one arrow reproduction in here. Luckily, this glue has survived, right? This is asphaltum glue and pine pitch, I think, mixed together. Asphaltum and pine pitch. And it's a reproduction of an actual Native American arrow. And they put that glue all the way up on the blade. Okay? But it has broken and fallen out because of the cold weather, probably. Anyway, can you see how they glued this in? There's no wrapping. All they used was glue only. And you find this also in European examples, believe it or not, where they would use only glue and they would put the glue all the way up onto the blade. It's going to fall out when I turn it. But you see how that works? There might be wrapping underneath this on the real artifact. We just can't tell on the real one. This is an actual reproduction using all the dimensions from the source that I'm using. Okay, this is actual size reproduction of an arrow from a source, a book that I have. All right, and this is, everything is the reproduction, the length, and I'm assuming the spine weight and everything of this arrow. And it's a reed arrow as well in my source, and it has a shouldered foreshaft. Okay, I wrapped it here because it broke, right? Is that why? Yeah, it broke right here by accident. I did not shoot it. It just, for some reason, I guess I was trying to straighten it and it broke. But this is a reproduction of the whole arrow. There's the fletching. It's not glued down in the middle. It's got white paint. And this is the way the knock was made on the real arrow. It's very shallow. And it is a reed arrow. The thick part of the reed is up here, and it gets thinner as it goes down. Okay. But it's very consistent as far as the diameter on this particular reed, just like in the book. Sinew wrapped, both for strength and to attach the feathers. I did want to show this one, and these feathers are pheasant feathers. Okay, domestic farm-raised pheasants, not from a endangered bird or anything like that. Okay, all right. So, and these are friction fit many cases with no glue on the real ones. But yeah, you can use glue to attach this. But if you don't use glue, you can easily take this out, and if this breaks, you can attach another one, stick another foreshaft and use it again. All right? All right. And for those who didn't see earlier, I do use in that ladle and shoot darts, and this is the one I use. I do have a finger loop. I don't have two finger loops on mine because I felt that was too uncomfortable for me. I'd rather have just one finger loop. Yeah, and that's a good luck charm here. This is the actual weight. that allows the little dart to sit on here and balance. So I don't have to exert any kind of pressure or pull to keep it balanced. That counterweight balances everything. So it just balances on my hand, so I can just stay in that position in the ready without fatigue, because it balances right here when I have my little darts made properly. And I can adjust this. I can slide it. It's glued right now, but I can, and that's a cotton twine. If I wanted to make heavier darts, I just take this twine off and then move this weight further up and lash it further up, and it'll change the balance. Oh, the wood is Osage orange. Let's see. 21 inches or thereabouts. It has a slight curve. It's not flexible. I mean, it can flex slightly. See that? But it's not really flexible. I've seen some at ladles that are very flexible. This does have slight amount of flex. I would say maybe 10 pounds. 10 pounds to make any kind of flexation on it, whatever. It's got a channel. Makes it easy to knock the little dart. It's just a self knock. This works with Osage, but if you use other kinds of wood, sometimes that splits out. So if it's going to split out, you just attach like a bone knocking point or something onto the end. Instead of, this is just a self carved in there, self knock. All right. I will show you my other arrows, but I'm going to save that for Friday. Okay. What else we got? Where's my phone? Let's see. Midnight Dracula says, what about quartz? Quartz will work, yeah. But you have to be very picky. Not all quartz is good, and a lot of it needs to be heat treated. Quartz is very similar to flint and chert in structure, but it's more grainy, which makes it difficult to remove flakes. Flint and chert is just like a very fine-grained quartz. It's the same chemical composition, but it's just finer grain. All right, which means it has little crystals. Now, quartz crystal by itself, a single clear crystal, can also be knapped, but it knaps weirdly because it has these planes of fracture, or the fracturing occurs differently in different planes. I don't know if you know what I mean. You can knap quartz crystal. I've done it before. I have a video. You can type in Jack Crafty quartz crystal, and you'll find the video. It's not easy because it has these weird fracture planes. Also, you can knap regular quartz that's not the quartz crystal, but it's very grainy, and sometimes it's almost impossible to knap. You just have to try what you've got. And if you can't knap what you've got, oh well, look for something better. Let's see. Actually, a question. How thick in diameter should a pretty standard arrow or a ladle dart be? I know they have to have some bend to them. Yeah. I can't give you a thickness because it depends on the material. One of the ways to tell if your ladle dart is flexible enough is to do something like this. Let's see. Let me get a long arrow. Just pretend this is an ladle dart, okay? You put the dart shaft that you're planning on or thinking of making the dart from onto a bathroom scale, all right? This is the kitchen scale, but imagine this is the bathroom scale. Why a bathroom scale? Because we're looking for a number of pounds. I'll tell you in a minute. So you put it on the bathroom scale, and then you push on it downward until it flexes like this, until you get a, like a substantial flex, maybe an inch or two, and look at how many pounds it is. If it's 8 pounds, when you flex it like this, it's good. If it's like 10 pounds, it's a little bit too stiff. And if it's like 6 pounds, that's too loose. It's the general rule is 8 pounds when you flex it like this. And it's got to be like 1.5 inch to 2 inch flex, just enough to notice it. If it says 8 pounds, you're in the right range. Once you have a bunch of those, like 3 or 4, 5, shoot them with your atletl and see if they work. If they're not working, if they're still too loose, get some more shafts and do the same test, and maybe you need 10 pounds when you flex. Okay? You can do the same with arrows, yeah, but we usually use spine testers. But for atletl darts, there's no spine testers. So that's how we do it. Every piece of wood is different. Yeah. So I can't tell you an exact diameter, but it's going to be a 1/2 inch or more, usually. Yeah, 1/2 inch or more. Yeah, it's 4 o'clock, bruh. I'll see you later. Bye, Patrick. Yeah, see you later. Let's see. You're welcome. You're welcome. It's good to see everybody. I'm just looking for questions. We got Bushy. We've got 6 inches of snow right now, and we got 2 of that last night. 2 inches last night. So we already had 4 inches on the ground, which is not that much right now. Any other questions? Let's see. Midnight Dracula says, I've always had this assumption that quartz will be better than obsidian. It turns out I'm wrong. Yeah, in most cases, obsidian will be better than quartz. It isn't always, though. Sometimes there's high grade quartz out there that is better. But for the most part, yeah, obsidian's better. Is obsidian still the most perfect choice for stone blades, etc.? It depends on what you want to use it for, because obsidian is very delicate. If you're just going to cut meat, it's good. Or for ceremonial dances and stuff, you can make some really nice looking blades with obsidian that are nice and fancy that you can use for show. For general use, I prefer a high grade flint or chert, especially for knives. Now, for projectile points, for arrow heads and atletl dart points, a lot of them are just one-shot deals where it doesn't matter what material you use, it's going to get ruined after one shot. Then, yeah, those are good for obsidian. I mean, obsidian is good for those. But if you're going to be using it and abusing it like a knife, I recommend a more durable material like high-grade flint or chert. When am I going live next? Friday night, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern time. Remember Eastern time. And just ask Google, what time is it your time when it's 8 p.m. Eastern? Right? 8 to 10? Yeah, I had to make sure I get the right times. I just showed, Roy asked me the dates for the Pennsylvania Knapping last year, 25. I don't have this year's dates yet, but in Pennsylvania, it was February something. You missed it the first time I showed it? Maybe you missed it. And you might miss it again because you might not be watching. Pennsylvania, it was June 26th through the 29th last year. So it's probably in June again this year.
So for the past 3 years, it's been in June. This is a Pennsylvania knapping. Tyrone, Pennsylvania. Yeah, I don't have the dates for 26 yet. Patrick, question: what is the specific gravity or weight difference of obsidian and flint or chert per the same size? It's very similar to aluminum, believe it or not. I don't know the exact, and a lot of times they don't tell you in the technical manuals. You can find it for obsidian if you look, but for chert, it's not that common to see the specific gravity. But it's very similar to aluminum, and you can find aluminum specific gravity pretty easily. And I'm comparing it to 6061 aluminum, 6061. It's very similar in weight to aluminum as far as the specific gravity. There can be a big weight difference between obsidian and chert and flint. Some cherts and flints are light. Some are very dense. I think also on obsidian, the dacite stuff like this is lighter than the shiny stuff, the clear stuff. See how this is kind of translucent? I think this is more dense than the dacite. So these are slightly different. But as far as specific gravity, I would have to ask Grok or whatever. The exact numbers. The reason why I say it's close to aluminum is because I once did the research on what I could use besides obsidian if I wanted to practice with an arrowhead of the same size of obsidian. What material would I use? And it turns out aluminum is almost the same weight. So I can use aluminum broadheads to practice with my bows and arrows. And then when the time comes for hunting, I just switch out the aluminum and put in obsidian, and it'll still shoot the same. Mac Nunn says, what got you interested in this hobby or anthropology? I don't know. I've always been interested in Native American stuff ever since I can remember when I was little. But there was a long period of time in my life where I didn't do this kind of stuff, and I got back into it around 2007. So when I was little, that was in the 70s. So that's a long time. It's like 40 years where I didn't do any of it, or not much of it. Yeah, I used to shoot bows and arrows when I was a kid. When I started shooting bows and arrows when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I made my arrowheads out of slate. And I would grind them down because I grew up in New Hampshire, and all we had for arrowheads back then or in that area was slate, which was used by Native Americans. So I just said, "Oh, cool," but I had to grind them down. The difference in weight could make a big difference in the way the arrow flies. Well, yes and no. It does make a big difference if you're shooting long range, but for short range, the difference is almost negligible. Let's say under 20 yards or up to 20 yards, the difference is going to be like a half inch. That might make all the difference, but when you're hunting 20 yards or closer, it doesn't matter really. If the grain weight varies 10 or 20 grains, which is, I think, the variation between these different materials of the same size. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Once you get past 20 yards, then yes, not only do you have to increase your skill a lot to hit within the proper zone at excess of 20 yards, but yeah, the difference in the arrow weights and the drag makes a big difference. Let's see. Let's see. I think I answered all the questions. Hopefully. Yeah, Bushy says he's buried in snow. I believe it. I've seen the weather reports. All right, is that it?
I doubt the natives use scales, so just guess like they did for the amount of pounds. Well, they would use comparable weights. All right. Like if they wanted to have something weigh a certain amount, they would use a balance scale. And yeah, they knew about balance scales. Okay. So you put the weight that works on your arrow on one side of the scale, and then your potential arrowhead on the other side of the scale, and you just balance it. It's very easy to make a balance scale. You just take a stick and you hang your, let's say, a little pebble that you know that's what your arrowhead should weigh because it works really good on your arrows. And you just put a little string in the middle and you hang your arrowhead from the other side. And if it balances, that's the weight that your arrowhead should be. And that goes for your arrow shafts as well. Balance scales. The balance scale thing is thousands of years old. Let's see. Yeah, the natives did use scales. Okay, all right, I'll see you guys on Friday. Friday at 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Somebody, okay. Anyone know where I could find a stave or two of Osage? Yeah, on eBay. On eBay, just type in Osage bow stave. There are many other places, especially on Facebook, where you can get bow staves as well. And there are guys in the chat that could offer one to you, either in trade or buy one. Osage staves are very common for sale. So even do a Google search. You don't even have to go to eBay. You can just type it in Google, Osage bow stave for sale. Now, to get the good quality stuff, you got to buy it in person. Sometimes you'll be able to find bow staves for sale at traditional bow hunter gatherings. There are traditional bow hunter gatherings. You just type it in Google. Where can I find a traditional bow hunter gathering? And then once you get the contact information, you can text them. Do you sell bow staves, or are there people who are selling bow staves at your gathering? And there you go. Keith says, see you, Pat. Thanks. You're welcome. All right, we'll see you then. We'll see you on Friday, guys. Good to see everybody. Good questions this time. All right. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.